What would you do? You've just had a conversation with someone who has promised you everything. £1 million a year for the rest of your life. The grades that everybody would dream of getting. Across the board, you get all the awards for winning the highest result in every subject. Or maybe the career move of the century. What do? Should you say yes? The Bible doesn't directly say that any of those things are wrong. So, maybe. You could have everything you ever wanted. Oh, this is so exciting. Come on, surely this is the breakthrough I've been waiting for so many years now. All you have to do is say yes and accept that slightly distorted view of God. I mean, it's almost the full picture, so what's a tiny little bit on the end compared to the rest, right? Do you abandon that little bit of truth to have a bit more? In Matthew 4, verse 1 to 11, Jesus is in exactly this kind of scenario. You have everything, you can have everything, Jesus, the devil says to him, if you just give up the whole truth and accept this little bit of a distorted view that I'm going to give you. Come on, Jesus, the devil says. Why is God's offer so good compared to mine? The devil invites Jesus to abandon the truth of God, in part or in full, to receive prematurely what God is going to give to Jesus anyway at a later point. Not that the devil really knew that. You see, what the devil offers to everyone is the invitation to abandon the truth slightly by suggesting the truth is incomplete, unlikely to fulfill you. It can't satisfy, apparently. So you should accept the offer on the table and make your life better now. But the invitation to give up something of great value results in nothing of value. And yet the answer is very different when we look to God's invitation. God invites us to abandon ourselves to him. But the final place of that abandonment is total fulfillment. Not on our terms, but on his terms. In 1 Peter 2, verse 16, it says, "Live as free people, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Live as God's slaves." Hang on, Oliver. You just said that God offers the promise of fulfillment, but the Bible invites me to be God's slave. Yes, let's unpack that briefly. At the time this letter was written, slavery was a common occurrence. And when Peter was looking for a metaphor for the level of commitment to God in Christ that believers should attain to, this was the picture that he chose. He's not giving a comment on slavery. Rather, he's calling believers to recognize that in this life, the best way to live is to surrender ourselves to God fully. In the New Testament times, a slave was not permitted to tell their master what to do. They couldn't do the job on their own terms, and they had to work within the boundaries of the household. Peter is calling believers to submit to God in such a way that they listen to God, that they serve God on his terms, and that they live within the boundaries of holiness as requested by God. Listen to the verse again. Live as free people. Don't let society tell you how to live out your faith. Do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Just because you are free, you can't treat others badly or do as you would please. Live as God's slaves. Can you give up your autonomy, yourself to God, in order to find the greater life and eternity that he offers? Wow. God is playing it tough here, isn't he? If God is the truly whole and complete loving God, what reason is there to be concerned about his request to surrender our rights to his glory? If he is greater, if he knows better, if he loves more richly and delivers us from sin and is the perfect fulfilling God, we stand to lose nothing. We stand to lose nothing and gain everything in the moment of abandonment. Yet, let's be honest for a minute. We don't abandon our hearts to God because there are times we believe we can better fulfill ourselves than He can. Why do we let sin be more enticing than the joyful bliss of God's presence? Because we're still in control. In the moment of sin, we're still in control. And our ability to sin likes that a lot. No marriage partner can truly satisfy. No friend can be truly wise. No diet can be truly enlivening. But God's presence, when the joy of the Spirit has filled our lives, more, Lord. I don't want any of the rest. It's rubbish. It's literally just rubbish. Take the limits off. Oh, Lord, may we know your presence. Oh, in abandonment to you because you have everything that we need. As John set out for us last week, it's because the love of God is all-encompassing that we step towards Him freely and submissively in order to serve Him. Sin's enticements need to be overlooked because the power of love on the other side is phenomenal. God in Jesus welcomes us to abandon our hearts and our desires to His glory so that He can call us friends in return. Then, as friends, we will walk tall and proud because of the love that God has poured into our hearts. For like Paul, for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain.